Hello, Chester here. So, we played in the January 31st Novos tourney again. I think we ended up with 24, 25 players, and Esper Tempo has the largest meta game share, and I think next to it is Mono Red Prison, and then Mono Black Necro. So, essentially, I did a bunch of testing. I was preparing to beat Necro because I think a lot of people just really needed some tech against that deck. So for now, the best way to beat that deck is just having a bunch of free interaction like Force of Negation, Flare of Denial. Flare of Denial kinda sucks because you have to sacrifice your threat, but it is essentially better than losing. We ended up running one less strip mine to make room for all these cards. We also have a discard spell in the main. Inquisition of Kozilek hits everything out of the Necro deck that is important. I guess if you wanted to take Grief or Besiege, it's a miss, but most likely you're taking the payoff anyway, or Dark Ritual, Chrome Mox, or whatever. We have a one of Prismatic Ending here, just an extra removal spell. Anti-Chalice deck. And we are playing 12 Ragavans. So, Hydroponics Architect, Tameo, Psychic Frog. And to make room, we had to cut a couple of Orcish Bowmasters because we are assuming that there won't be a lot of fair decks. We are assuming in this tournament that there will be a lot of Necro representation. So, Orcish Bowmasters doesn't really do much in that matchup. But I suspect there will still be energy decks. So, essentially against energy, we are worse. We have 6 dead cards essentially. Force of Negation and Flare of Denial. Inquisition of Kozilek is fine against them. But yeah, let's get into the sideboarding. A really dedicated hate piece for the Necro decks is Mistcaller. So assuming your opponent is playing the Sorin Elenda and Entomb Reanimate version, this creature will just time walk them and will lock them out of that combo unless they find a way to remove the Mistcaller. So in that case, even if they have a resolved Necro, if you land a Mistcaller, they still have to figure out a way to deal with this before they can do anything. And with that in play, you can just sacrifice it and it will still be a time walk for them because they won't be able to do the Sorin Elenda combo or the Entomb Reanimate for that turn. It gives you some time to try and find another answer. And assuming if you have board presence already, that should be an easy task for you. Double Commandeers here is our play on the draw. So you could go for 4 Commandeers if you want. This card is really good against them, but better Necro players will play slow and will just play around this by playing things like Vexing Bauble, Voice of Victory, or even just discard spells. We also have additional discard spells here, Thoughtseize, and Orcish Bowmasters for the blue mirrors and energy. A couple of Toxic Deluge and a couple of Stern Scolding for energy. We also have the extra Prismatic Ending for the fair matchups. Dismember here is for the Stompy matchups. This is good against Mono Black and Mono Red. It kills Magus of the Moon. It kills Shelly. It kills Baragoyf. So yeah, this is essentially the tournament deck that I'm going to run, because we are expecting to beat Stompy decks and the Necro Reanimator decks. So let's see how it goes. First match of the tourney. This is against Mono Red Prison. So this hand looks great. We have Force of Negation and a 1-drop threat and Ponder. So we can keep this, go for Hydroponics Architect, make some basic islands, and probably pitch second frog to Force of Negation if it needs to be. Ragavan is annoying, but I think we just get in for one here, get that trigger on the stack. And here we ponder. Prismatic Ending is tempting, but I think we need to find our black source here, because this matchup really relies on getting the frog down.
Too late reading. Again.
There's a chalice on one. I think about countering this, but yeah, I think we still counter this because we still have Ponders and Brainstorms in the deck. We are nowhere near casting Treasure Cruise anyway. And I'm going to block this Ragavan with the Tamio. Let's ponder first, try to look for a fetch. There is the fetch land, though the Flare of Denial and Inquisition of Kozilek is kinda tempting. We can flip Tamio from here with the fetch land. Alright, we are getting another fetch land. Just plus the Tamio, then get the frog down. Okay, there's a Fury down. That kills the frog, but we have our backup frog. I think we are still in the decent spot. As long as the Ragavan doesn't steal anything relevant. Okay, the Ragavan stole something relevant. There's the Magus. We could just try to ult Tamio here, but I'm skeptical that we can win from this spot. The Pyroglyph will do it. We are going to next game. For this matchup, on the play, we can keep the discard spells. Dismember comes in, Prismatic Ending comes in, and Orcish Bowmasters comes out. It's not really relevant against anything except One Ring and maybe Raghavan if they still have it. But I kinda doubt they're keeping in Raghavan. And then lastly, I think we just trim down on a strip mine here. They are a Chromox deck. We are going to play first. First hand was unplayable. This hand is okay. We're going to keep, and we are probably going to bottom the water grave here. We're still going to lead with Inquisition of Kozilek just to face check. Maybe remove a Magus or a Chalice here. We fetch Godless Shrine because next turn we want to fetch Island. And we want to have both access to white and black. Okay, this hand is pretty hard to break up. But with how our hand is right now, I think we just take the barrage here, let the Chalice happen. Let the Chalice happen and then play Psychic Frog next turn. I can't really stress enough how important landing a frog is in this matchup. I think that's the that's pretty much the way to win this matchup is to land frog. You don't care about the present pieces once you land frog. They can hardly kill frog with barrage. They'd have to have something like barrage into fury usually to kill a frog. There's the Magus. We have access to blue mana still. We're just going to attack here. Maybe they block with Magus. If they don't, we are going to race mode here. We see a Bombardiers in their hand, so we have to get things moving forward here. The Flare of Denial was kept. Maybe we draw into Force of Negation. We play Chalice of the Void. I think that's just going to face. And as long as they don't have Fury, I think we win from here. They are at 13, so we need to make this into a 2-turn clock. Okay, perfect. That's a Force of Negation just in case they draw One Ring. They're just dead to frog this turn. Pyroglyph also kills us here. On the draw, we want to take out the Inquisition of Kozilek for the Commandeers. We won't have time to cast the Tossed Seeds most of the time, or a lot of our 1-drops. But that's no reason to cut your 1-drops that are good. Like Tamiyo, Ponder, Brainstorm also counts as a blue spell for Commandeers and Force. So you can't really trim on those. Lastly, bring in Bowmasters because they are 2-drops that we can cast. This hand is good. We have Frog, we have Force of Negation. Okay, Chrome walks on 1 can mean they have turn 1 Magus, which is unbeatable for us. So I will take a precaution and just counter that. We have to get to 2 mana here. Now we're trying to look for maybe Dismember, maybe another Force. Didn't find it. Alright. You just play a Fable. Now we're going to land Frog here. Okay, they did Necro Mox. Barrage here. Resolves, we have a second Frog. Though in hindsight here, I should have just discarded my hand. Because of the second Frog, I didn't discard everything here. So from here on, I just lose because of Magus of the Moon. Anyway, that's on to the next one. We are going first. That is an unplayable hand. This is also an unplayable hand. We are up against mono green depths here. Okay, this is slightly playable. Though since we are at 5, we are probably putting back Force of Negation and Godless Shrine. Normally, I wouldn't really put Force of Negation back. But we are really low on resources here. We start with Ponder, try to look for a threat. There's the Hydroponics Architect. Strip Mine is also pretty good. We are on the play. Next turn we can go Hydro into Strip Mine. There's Kami. They put down a colorless land here. And with how the deck is usually built, they usually lack colored sources. So you really have to think about maybe taking them off green here. Yeah, I think it makes sense to take off green. They play Ancient Tomb, which means they are one turn away from casting the One Ring. We have Demonic Tutor here to just get us out of whatever they take. Let's brainstorm here. Maybe we find another threat or maybe an answer so that we can make our decisions more informed. Inquisition of Kozilek is interesting. Also Flare of Denial. Maybe I just keep Flare of Denial just in case they play Weary Zone Guard next turn. I keep the fetch just in case I don't have to flare. Okay, there's a Dark Depths. Now they have to think about activating this now or activating this later at instant speed. It looks like they're going for it. And thanks to this Demonic Tutor, we can just search up for Prismatic Ending. so we don't have to give them the full 20. I thought about shuffling the Inquisition of Kozilek away, though I think it's fine. We want the fetch land to be active. Okay, there's the prismatic ending. We technically have Flare of Denial to counter anything here, so we are not shields down. Alright? And post board, we will want Stern Scoldings against them, Dismembers. Just by taking a look at their list, they are probably cutting away maybe the One Ring. They have more creatures post board that they could bring in. Prismatic ending is good. Inquisition of Kozilek misses a bit of their creatures or threats. We want to take away things like One Ring or I Still Explorer. And I have to think about maybe trimming strip mines or trimming forces. And I think it makes sense to trim Force of Negation and maybe a strip mine because we are on the draw. I think this is fine. This hand looks keepable. We have a bunch of removal spells. We have a force. But let's mulligan because failing to find a second land will hurt us a lot more. We need to return one card. It's either Strip or Flare of Denial here. And I think maybe it's Strip Mine. Yeah, I think it's just Strip Mine because we are on the draw. It's likely not going to be relevant at all. Our opponent leads with Strip Mine, and that's a good draw. We got Hydroponics Architect. We are just going to fetch a basic island here because they have an active Strip Mine. Maybe that baits out that Strip Mine, but they just have this member. Next turn, we are going for the Godless Shrine. They are passing with 2 mana with a black source. And I think this is Bowmasters. Post board, this deck plays Bowmasters. So that's one thing to think about if you are playing blind against this deck in the ladder. But since this is an open deck list tournament, I know about the Bowmasters. Okay, they try to strip mine the fetch, and I just go for the fetch. Maybe they have a second strip mine and is confident that taking me out of the colored source will be enough. I go for Hallowed Fountain here because if they have second strip mine, they might remove me out of blue instead. And I would lose access to all of my cantrips that way. Verizon Guard gets Swords Plowshared. And that is a nice draw. Now we have to think about if we value 2 life over a card draw. I think I value life more. Okay. Past me doesn't agree with future me then. Alright, I went in for the attack for that. I guess I'm preventing only 1 damage anyway. Yeah, that makes sense. I go to Swords, the Orcish Bowmaster here. They go for the Dismember. I just accept. Okay, that is fine. Let's just go. Use the clue. If they have second Bowmaster, I have Dismember. I draw into Strip Mine. But they do have a lot of threats in their deck. I could take them off Tomb, but I think I'd rather have the mana here, so I can keep upholding Flare of Denial and Dismember. And we are taking one each turn, so not a big deal. Tamio is a blocker for that 1/1. Still have Flare of Denial. We don't really care about this. This just means we don't strip them off the green source. Maybe we strip them off the black source in the future. Now we're just going for the attack. We are going to try and brainstorm here. We probably find our another land here. But since we don't, we can play Hydroponics Architect to have Flare of Denial up no matter what. And also have Dismember. Or we could just pass the turn and hold up Flare of Denial. Exploration, we don't care about that. I think the strictly correct play there is to play Hydroponics Architect. Hold up Flare of Denial and Dismember. Just take Stern Scolding because they are a Bowmaster's deck now. You can also get things like Ice Steel Explorer or that even. We can think about Elvish Reclaimer here. Let's just kill that with Dismember. Not really sure what their last card is, but it is an instant, so maybe it's a Bowmasters. Oh, okay, it's a crop rotation. They rotate for Blast Zone. That gets rid of the Tameo. Okay, that makes sense. Which means this game is going to be prolonged a little bit longer. We're just going to threaten the ult here. Force them to use the Blast Zone already. We are still super ahead on cards, so there's a good chance that nothing the top deck matters. There's a Strip Mine. We can just draw a card here. And next turn we can pressure them again with Hydroponics Architect. Even though it's not much pressure, it's still pressure, I guess. At this point, we're just looking for additional threats, so Psychic Frog is welcome here. This speeds up the clock. We have a bunch of ways to deal with anything they play, really. We have Flare, we have Force of Negation, we have Stern Scolding, a removal spell. So from here, we're just playing not to lose. And I think maybe this is enough. Yeah, this is enough. We are up against Mono Blue Belcher. We are on the play. We have Force of Negation. We have Hydroponics Architect. And a Brainstorm to dig for lands. This is keepable. So we are just going to lead with Hydroponics Architect. Looks like they have Subtlety here. If they have Subtlety, we just go bottom this Architect. Try to top deck another land for Frog. We could also just Brainstorm. Okay, but drawing Tameo makes me think I'm okay with not hitting my land drop here. We can just Brainstorm next turn. There's a Thunder Trap Trainer. We now have to think about Flare too. There's a Commandeer also. I'm still just gonna go for the Brainstorm here. If they want to counter this, then that's one less counter spell to worry about. But we do fail to hit our land drop, so it makes things a lot more complicated. Our opponent has 4 cards in hand though, so they are really light on resources right now. They have to think about countering this maybe or stealing it. I see another 4, so I'm just going to keep it. I think the way we win this game is through Tameo ulting. And I'm just going to go for that plan. They have already played a Sink into Stupor as a land here. They do play 4, but I don't think I'm playing around that. And I think it's fine. If they just bounce Tameo here, we are forced to discard 2 cards, I think. Okay, but it's not really the end of the world. Next turn, we can just replay Tameo, have Force of Negation and Flare of Denial up. This is scary territory though. Maybe they have Salty, but they don't, which is good. Okay, we still don't find the land. We are going to discard Prismatic Ending. So this is pretty dangerous already. Belcher gets forced. We have the Commandeer. But we also have another force again. And we also have Flare of Denial just in case. Finally hit our land drop. I can tutor for Force of Negation again. Yeah, I think I just tutor for Force of Negation here. So that I don't have to sacrifice Tamio. Another card would be maybe Treasure Cruise. Thunder Trap. That's that's pretty concerning. You get mana drain. Okay, now we are able to hardcast our counter magic while drawing one card per turn. We just need to hit our land drop so that we can flip the Tamio. And I'm not really casting Treasure Cruise into a face up mana drain here. So we're just going to continue passing the turn, holding up Force and Flare, and drawing a card per turn. And I think at this point I can blow a Swords to Plowshares at one of that trainers. Maybe not. They do have two, so maybe I reserve it for a subtlety here instead. And I think I'm fine with just playing Frog into subtlety or mana drain. And since they are going to offspring this, I'm just gonna Flare of Denial it. We do have the extra Tameo in hand. And let's just Swords to Plowshares one of them. And now I can hardcast Force of Negation here. Just in case they have Commandeer. Maybe I can even just cast Cruise twice here. If they have Force of Negation. Okay, they don't have the Force of Negation. So we're just gonna play Tameo. And we might as well pass the turn. Strip Mine makes it more difficult for them because they have to hit their land drops. So I'm really way ahead here and I'm just trying to play not to lose again. And until I find the frog to pressure, I really won't have any pressure. This Tameo is technically pressure because if you ult this, you're likely winning the game. I think I want that land drop, so I don't mind taking that. Now we're just gonna play the waiting game until we ult Tameo. Don't need to cast anything here. We can slowly crack clues. We can get closer to that frog. We can just stop out here. Okay, there's a second strip mine. We just play the second strip mine and we can force a salty out here. We can just also take them off mana to cast another sink into stupor. There's a salty. We have a Swords to Plowshares for that. Let's do this now. You can fight over this through hard cast, Force of Negation. Now we're just trying to find another piece of interaction, maybe this card. You don't have to worry about Belcher now because they are at 2 mana. If they have double Chrome Mox, they have to destroy their hand. Now we just ult Tameo. And from here we probably just win the game.
I will protect this library with my life. Use your words. I highly recommend this book.
For sideboarding, we just want Thoughtseize, Prismatic Ending. Strip mines seem important in this matchup. Bowmasters doesn't really seem that important. They don't really have any draw spells. Stern Scolding is good to counter the shield backs, the thunder trap trainers. We need to still make 3 cuts here. Maybe you can trim down on removal and maybe a treasure cruise. They don't really have any way to remove my creatures anyway, so I think relying on the Hydro Tameo Psychic Frog is enough card draw for the deck. This hand is perfect. We have Thoughtseize, Force of Negation, Hydro. Okay, they are playing Chrome Mox. Philology Archaeologist gets Belcher. I think we just go for the Hydro here to get our threat going. They can't cast Belcher next turn unless they Mox. Okay, defense grid. That kinda sucks. Now, you can discard Belcher. But unfortunately, they have double Belcher here. So, our best shot here to stay in the game is to take out the Chrome Mox. Hope they miss their land drop. Okay, they technically just missed it. And now we can brainstorm. Hope to hit a flare or we don't hit the flare or the force of negation, so I think we just lose from here. We just was a bit light on mana here. So yeah, I think it's on to the next one. I'm pretty satisfied with how I boarded there. I don't think I need to make changes. This hand is great. We have discard, we have prismatic ending, we have ponder. We're just gonna go for Inquisition now to get more information on what to sculpt our hand to. We see Farlaji Archaeologist as the only castable spell here. They have Belcher, but we obviously can't take that. Now we can. But for now, they are still far away from casting that. So our priority is just getting a threat down here. And I'm just gonna play the Hallowed Fountain here, because we need the fetch to enable Hydroponics Architect. Thundertrap gets... We get Flare of Denial. But we have Swords of Plowshares, so we can play around the Flare of Denial by hitting this creature with swords, then going for the Thoughtseize. Let's try to draw first though. Maybe we find a better play. Okay, let's just go for that. Let's ponder, try to hit. The Trip Mine is pretty good. And also Psychic Frog. I want to draw Psychic Frog. But I guess we can cast Hydro now. I go for the Hydro here, because they are at 2 mana still. The only way they get me is they draw into Chrome Mox. Okay, that's a trainer again. Which is just getting a stock up. Okay. Now we attack with both Hydro here. Let's try to draw first. Look for more relevant cards. Okay. Tamio is good because we can flip her now. We can also just prismatic ending the Thunder Trap trainer still. Okay, there's the flare. And now we're just going to prismatic ending the Thunder Trap before casting Thought Seize. Okay, and I think the strip mine here solidifies our win. We can just strip them to oblivion from this spot and have hardcast flare up, or maybe even try to look for frog.
I am not defenseless.
Can just let that happen since we already have frog in hand or frog in play.
Oh, how am I supposed to focus on only one project? plane has stories to share. Respect the library.
Okay, on to the next one. We are playing against Ruben here. Okay, against Mardu Energy. I think this is a fine hand because we are going first and we have like triple Ragavan in our hand. Force of Negation can be good when Tamiyo flips because their only answer for that is Static Person, which is a sorcery speed spell. We are just gonna fetch for Hollowed Fountain here, just in case we draw into like a removal spell. Next turn we can flip Tamiyo aggressively. We can go Tamiyo, fetch, and then ponder. Alright, they are playing around Force of Negation. We can just go Hydroponics Architect and strip mine that. Alright, them having a tap land here sets us up for flip Tamiyo. You're just gonna go crack this fetch. Alright, there's another strip mine. It's actually tempting to go for the strip here, but I think it's better to just ponder here. Don't have the black source for frogs, but we do. We don't really want those other cards. Now if they try the static person, we can force negation. But that's just the game. Against energy, we want to take out the force of negations, the flare of denial. We want toxic deluge in, stern scolding. And that's pretty much it. But since we are on the draw, I'm just going to trim a strip mine for a force of negation. Because I think strip mine is a liability in this matchup most of the time. on the draw at least. Okay, this is a fine hand. There's an Osset Pride. I think we just hold up Stern Scolding and Swords to Plowshares here. Okay, double Osset Pride, huh? I think I want to Swords this just in case. I think that's too much damage if I let that happen. It seems that like they are holding up something here. Maybe a removal spell. We've got 2 strips, huh? I'm going to draw into the strip mine. Maybe think about using it. I want the brainstorm. Alright, I can just let the Johnny happen here. We just need to dodge Thoughtseize. Okay. I think we are pretty much in a good spot from this. They draw strip. Take us off black and have a raptor. Okay, that is a problem. Goblin bombardment is really good. So maybe I can just take them out of lands. I am confident that they have a removal spell in hand. Maybe we can just take them out of red here. Alright. White. They have Swords to Plowshares, I guess. So I guess we take them off the red. Hold up Stern Scolding. Peddler gets scolding. I could also just brainstorm. So that last card is a removal spell. And since that card is a removal spell, I think I just brainstorm here. Try to look for removal for the raptor. Kinda sucks that I'm going too low here. We can go for Treasure Cruise. We do hit the removal spell here. But we are at 6. We are so close to dying here. Okay, Tamio is nice. That is a blocker for a Raptor. Then we can flip. We can flip it when they attack. They just have to. We just have to dodge Bowmasters here. Alright, I think we lose from here. I think I just do nothing here. Just want to I just want them to use bombardment to kill off Tamio. I guess they still do. If I was a bit higher in life total, I could have responded with Brainstorm here to save the Tamio. And they would have needed to sacrifice the token. But they just have another Bowmaster, so. On the play, we want 3 strip mines again. We can take out the Force of Negation. Alright, we are keeping this. We have Hydro, we have Pending, we have Frog. We are still playing around Force of Negation. Okay, we can Psychic Frog here. We are just going to try and keep forcing them to have answers. Yeah, Discharge. That works. We are kind of far away from casting Cruise. But Hydroponics Architect is good here. They probably have another removal spell for it. Yeah, I feel like their hand is just lining up so well in this game. I have a lot of threats, they have a lot of removal. Hopefully the treasure cruise will save us soon. Peddler is so good against us. We take Tamio. We just pass the turn here. I don't think I ambush with Bowmasters here. Feels like they also have Bowmasters. Okay, but this actually sucks more. Yeah, maybe I should just ambush the peddler there. Let the let them have the bowmasters out instead of peddler. Yeah, things are looking grim from here. We need to draw into Toxic Deluge. Okay, first step. But then they have access to lures here. They can even they can maybe even flip their Ajani with the bowmasters that I was trying to predict earlier. Yeah, I think this is a good play. And now even if I deluge here, I will lose to the lures. Okay, second deluge might give us a shot. We deluge and then we play bowmasters. Alright, I think I just play out bowmasters here. Hopefully they play out their own bowmasters instead of the juggernaut peddler. Oh, they don't have mana for those two. Okay, they do. So if they cast peddler, I think we just lose here. Yep, it was pretty close. I think the second game I made the mistake of just using the strip. Alright, against Black Scam here. You have Hydro on 1 and Force of Negation back up. This is pretty good. We're just gonna go for Hollowed Fountain. We might draw into Swords to Plowshares. Okay, Chrome Mox. Wonder what this is. Maybe they go Dark Ritual into Ring. Okay, they don't. This kind of feels like a Bowmaster's. So I'm just gonna attack in here. I'm just gonna play the Strip Mine. And we can brainstorm at this spot. Unfortunately, we don't find the removal spell. I think I just want to hide Frog here. Frog is our ticket to win this game, I think. We're just gonna go hope Frog gets us to the finish line. Okay, we just attack with Architect again and have Frog as a blocker. Hopefully they don't have the removal spell. I doubt they have the removal spell since Hydro is still active. Okay. They were sitting on that fatal push for Frog, I guess. And maybe they are sitting on another Bowmasters as well. That's why they are pretty confident that I won't be able to draw with the Architect. I think we just get Lures here. Hope to get back Frog soon. And use Lures as a blocker. They only have 6 removal spells in the deck, so they already have used one. Tamio is pretty good here as another blocker. And I think I can just sit on these blockers. I'm just gonna wait until I draw into my removal spell. Okay, that's perfect. Them not doing anything is really huge for me. We're just gonna wait until we draw into the Bowmasters or removal spell. This attack signals that they have another Bowmasters. I guess we're just gonna go block with Hydro. Okay. They are going to target me. And since we have lures, we can just replay that hydro to be a blocker again. Unfortunately, I'm failing to draw into the removal spell that I need. Kinda scared about this Chrome Mox because they might have Shelly. But if it's One Ring, I can beat the One Ring. Not sure about that attack. Do they just have another Bowmasters? Alright, they have Fatal Push. So, I'm just gonna force this Exiling Cruise, or maybe just Brainstorm. I think here I just want to deploy Frog to get value out of Lurus while it can. And I'm not really threatened by these Bowmasters immediately, so I can also develop uh, this turn for maybe tutor for a Swords to Plowshares or maybe a Bowmasters. And here I get Bowmasters because if they have the discard, they have to also deal with the lures first. And that is technically removal spells for Orcish Bowmasters. I only get punished here if they go Shouldered in this spot. Okay, but Hardcast Grief is beatable. They might still take the Bowmasters. Okay. Now we can replay the Bowmasters. And we can also start getting aggressive with Frog. I think it makes sense to just discard everything here. Since they are not finding the removal spell for the Lurus, we can go relatively hard with this Psychic Frog and turn this into a two-turn clock. So right here, you can discard the frog to maybe 5. Or maybe even 6, so that it is a so that we have lethal next turn. Let's just double block the grief. You can also block the token, I guess. Alright, there's the One Ring. You have a game then. We just replay the Bowmasters here. Play Tameo from our hand. And essentially shutting them off that ring that they have. Maybe I just keep the Tameo. Keep them thinking about what's in my hand. And maybe I need the discard fodder for Frog to kill them later on. Let's just go for face here. Can maybe play another One Ring. Yeah, they have another ring. This buys them a lot of time. And I guess the worst case scenario for us is them eventually drawing into Shouldered, but we drew into the Swords of Plowshares anyway. Yep. This swords should be game here. They have the removal for Psychic Frog. I don't think that's enough though. They remove Psychic Frog. We can attack with Lurus. Okay. We have another ring. So essentially the same scenario happens here. We don't want them drawing into Shelly. Although another Bowmasters here means they might die. With AP and AP, up nap, active player, non-active player. The active player gets their stack resolved first, I guess. So they gain life off the Shelly first before the Bowmasters triggers happens. So I guess I can kill Shelly if they have they have it, but they do gain a lot of life. Oh wait, they gain 2 life from here. It's not nearly enough. Okay, stealing game 1 is really big after that start. So for this matchup, we want Dismember, Bowmasters, Stern Scolding. We don't want the flares. The force might we might want the forces because I think post board looking at their deck, I think they are transforming their deck into a creature heavy one. They are playing things like my, but again we still want at least some force of negation because it still hits reanimate, or maybe they keep some wandering in. And since we are on the draw, we have to think about cutting strip mines here. And I think it makes sense to cut strip mines for more answers. We are going to keep this hand. We have double swords to plowshares, toxic deluge. It kind of looks like we mulled to 6 already because we have double treasure cruise, but I think having redundant treasure cruise is also fine just in case they have discard. Their deck doesn't run opposition agents, so we don't really have to be mindful of that. Okay, they have 3 mana. What is this? Bargoyf? It is Bargoyf. We can just wait, but I think we want to be mana efficient and use the swords here. Alright. We are in danger of getting strip mined here. Or maybe they just play One Ring. Okay, they play Grief first. And I think we just Swords to Plowshares here. Get us one card closer to casting the Treasure Cruise. Now if we draw into fetch, that would be great. We can tap out for Treasure Cruise. And since we don't, I think we just go ahead and get lures here. Don't think holding up Swords to Plowshares matters that much. They just go for the One Ring. Okay, we are in trouble now. I guess we have no choice but just to top out for Cruise. We are now trying to play to win. We are going to make risky decisions from this point on because it's going to be hard to beat the One Ring. Okay, Dottie. We can prismatic ending that. We can play Architect. And I think we could brainstorm now. Or maybe just wait. There's the Shelly. Now we can brainstorm. We are going to put back the land. Maybe the Stern Scolding. Need to think about this hard. Maybe I should have kept the Stern Scolding in hand and put the Cruise away. Because the way we beat the ring here is by keeping the Bowmasters alive. I think that was wrong. Let's see if we get punished though. They're going to need double discard spells here to take out the Bowmasters. Okay, another Shelly is trouble. Alright, we have answered that problem. We are drawing gas here, not gonna lie. Alright. I think we are going to need to flip Tameo here rather than hold up Bowmasters. Because I do want access to a rebuy of Swords to Plowshares. We have used, I think, 3 Swords to Plowshares already, so we are going to leave 1 Swords to Plowshares here. And flipping Tameo now means next turn I can rebuy the Swords to Plowshares. So we're trying to think 1 turn ahead here.
Not just a battle of arms. Think before you act.
Alright, we can answer the troll with Swords to Plowshares. We're just gonna rebuy it. Maybe I should have pondered first. I think I will ponder first. Or should have pondered first. Yeah, I think I should have pondered first before rebuying that. We find Dismember and played this tapped. Dismember is pretty attractive because the ring is at 3 burden counters right now. So giving them life would be helping them here. And we have enough mana here to play a removal spell, Stern Scolding, and Orcish Bowmasters. Alright. Strip Mine gets played. We just remove this with Dismember. We can play Bowmasters out here because they are going to be dead to their own ring regardless. They should probably have drawn out of it or tried to draw out of it. But yeah, I think this is just game. At this point, I'm 3-2 and I'm not really sure if I'm going to make it to top 8. So, hopefully we do. Alright, we made it to top 8 and we are up against Mono Black Reanimator, Necro Reanimator. So, this is the matchup I was prepping for. We have Force of Negation here. They also kept a 7, so we might be in trouble. Game 1, it's really difficult to steal a game from them if they just have a bunch of payoffs. We are just gonna go force the Necro. And we are going to play a threat. We can think about strip mining here, but I don't think it's worth it. Entomb. Okay. I guess, yeah. If they have Entomb Reanimate as their follow-up, there's really nothing we can do here. Normally in the ladder, I would just concede at this point, but since this is a tournament, we can just make them play it out because it is a bit draining to navigate these games, especially even landing Necro here. I still have the answer for the Atroxa. So we might have a shot if they have some missteps here and there. Okay, I think the first step here is just to try to draw into Force of Negation. They didn't really dig that hard, so there could be a chance that their hand sucks right now. Though the demonic tutor, I doubt they have a hand that sucks because of demonic tutor. I'm just gonna play Tamio here.
I must investigate this scroll further.
They lead with Grieve. I think Sora and Nilanda just ends us here if that's the follow up. But if they don't really have any follow ups, maybe we still have a game. Okay, this is a good move since if you take away the some cards first before tutoring, you get to see what you have drawn into. Because you won't be able to see those cards in your library anymore. Okay, they are just going to entomb reanimate the Elenda, I guess. They're gaining 4 life. They are going to 7. Let's see what they Fate's Fetters here. And we have Prismatic Ending for the token. And they're going pretty low here. I think at this point I'm just gonna try to play frog and play in prey here. Because they can gain 4 life next turn if they draw Soren 8. But I guess I'm in no luxury to play around anything anymore. So I'm just going to take this hit. for 8. And then next turn we can discard everything to frog. We have 4, 6 if we draw the clue. I think we still have little. If this is the only life gain that they have. Alright. I think if I would have played, like, the perfect play for that is to preemptively clear my graveyard, but to be honest, I'm not really playing around that. And for this matchup, we just take out the strip mines for commandeers, miscolors, discard, and bowmasters is the worst cards here, so we can cut those. We also trimmed a treasure cruise to make room. We can also trim a prismatic ending since they are not on a vexing bubble list. Alright, going first, this is a great hand. We have discard, we have commandeer. Well, not exactly commandeer up, but we have Inquisition into demonic tutor. Okay, they moved to 6. Let's see what they kept. Usually Necro players play a lot slower post board. Okay, this is a pretty... That's a pretty bad hand, to be honest. Now I'm just going to play Frog here. I'm not gonna play around anything, actually. I don't have to. Alright, so if they rip the reanimate here, we probably just lose, but that's so unlikely. Okay, Voice of Victory. We have the swords there. And now we have Commandeer up. And basically this match... Yeah, and basically we have this match already because of that. I can't imagine losing from this spot. Yeah, especially if they reanimate the Atraxa. He almost got been got by that reanimate if it was a card sooner. We're just going to run it back. Okay, I think this sand is decent enough. We have Mist Color, Force of Negation. So if they can force through in Necro, we still have Mist Color as a backup. And I guess their deck just didn't cooperate. They moved to 4. And we are probably going to win this because they just destroyed their hand to look for a combo. 2 mana might mean Bowmasters, but I don't remember them playing Bowmasters. And let's just go ahead and Thoughtseize here. You can take the Voice of Victory and counter the Necro Dominance. In hindsight, I should have just taken the Necro Dominance there because they didn't have the colors for Voice of Victory anyway. I think we are still okay because we have Mist Color in play. Ponder for exactly that force. And we can play Basic Island to hardcast the force. At this point, I think this game is secured. I just have to take a look at their mana because if they get to 7 mana, they can hardcast the Elenda. So I have to take caution in that. We're going to take the Flare. And at this point, I think it's safe to flare the Mist Color. We have 2 creatures that are drawing us 2 cards to turn. We are going to draw into a discard spell. Now we want to preemptively draw here because we can discard to Frog. Okay, let's take a look. They can cast that in 2 turns, assuming they draw all lands. So I have to start clocking them here. Just gonna counter that. Prevent the life gain. Hold up Hardcast Force. And we can discard 2 cards, I guess. Maybe just one first. They play Grief, and you can hide the Force of Negation. And from this point, we can actually... He might actually just discard our hand. So that's 4, 6, 7, and then 8 for my draw step. And I have lures in the companion... On the companion side. Alright, on to the next one. Alright, we made it to semis. We are up against Mono Red Storm. This is I think this is a great hand, but I'm not really sure how to play this matchup. This is the first time I'm facing Red Storm. But I guess the cards to hit are the Medallion, Ral, and Bergie, mainly. So maybe this is a bad keep. Half of those are creatures. Let's see. Maybe I actually want removal. But I think I'm just going to play Psychic Frog here. They're not playing any removal spells. And now I have Force of Negation to counter a Medallion. Let's just force pitching Hydro. Strip Mine is nice. Though I'm not really sure if I want to even strip at this point. Maybe I'll just play it out and have Force of Negation up. They play Seating Song here. And this is the punt that I make for this match. Or for this round. I think I just needed to hard cast Force of Negation here. I was thinking I should just reserve the Force of Negations for other payoffs, but yeah, I think it was an easy Force of Negation there. And even in the future turns I draw into Flare of Denial, they have to play one spell at a turn. So at this point, I just lost because I needed to counter the Ral. Didn't find the Swords to Plowshares. And from here, Briggy just goes off. Maybe I could have forced there. Yeah, I think this is just a series of misplays. And them having Ral means they just go off here. Okay, they actually wait another turn. And from here, I was just hoping they lose the flips, but that's unlikely. And I think I concede here. Yeah. So against this matchup, we do want the removal spells, the discard spells. The Bowmasters doesn't do anything here. And Strip Mine feels like it might be good because they are running some Orim's chant. But then the hard part here is the cuts. So we got a couple of Bowmasters. We bring in Thoughtseize. We still have to make cuts. We can cut Treasure Cruise. We can maybe cut some Strip Mines as well. So it's really difficult what to try and find cuts for this matchup. I ended up trimming Cruise, Dismember, and Ace Trip, which probably is wrong. Maybe I should just go to one Cruise instead. This hand is fine. We have Tamio, we have Flare, we have Strip Mine.
If you need me, I'll be in the library.
Okay, we draw removal. We are going to lead with Ponder here. Maybe we could even just play Strip Mine and plan to draw. But I think Ponder is better. Okay, there's a Force. We are going to keep Force and draw into Brainstorm so we can flip the Tamio. Play out the Strip Mine. We have the Squelcher. Really troublesome card for this deck. But we have the removal for it. Though we don't have the colors yet, which is a concern. And we do find Godless Shrine. But we are shields down for a turn, I guess. Except for Force of Negation. I'm just gonna play that in. No need to Swords to Plowshares right now. Because they might commit something that they think that is resolving. Okay, since they don't have any other play, we might as well just do this now. And we can cut them off white. Now we are just going to play out Frog here. Hold up both Flare of Denial and Force of Negation.
Think before you act.
Next turn, we are winning with the Tamio ult, and we have a bunch of counter magic and removal. So we are just winning with Frog next turn. I'm just gonna counter this. Leading with Force of Negation because they might have something like Ral or a non-creature. Redirect Lightning. Now we can just Flare of Denial that. And that is just the game. Not really sure what I should change, but I'm just going to run it back here. This hand looks fine. It has a removal spell, it has Psychic Frog, it has Flare of Denial. But maybe we need a faster hand with Force of Negation. Okay, this probably is better. You have Swords to Plowshares. Can bottom one. And again, in hindsight, I think bottoming removal spells or not prioritizing removal spells in this matchup is wrong. Um, they are playing Hexing Squelchers. They are reliant on Birgi and Ral. And all of those are hit by removal spells. So I think in hindsight it was wrong to not board the second Dismember in. They get a Ruby Medallion in. So we are in trouble here. We can Demonic Tutor for force, but they just have a second Ruby Medallion, so going for Inquisition here while they have Firebrain Scheme is also not great. What we can do with Demonic Tutor is maybe hope they don't have a second red source and get Strip Mine here. But I think it's just best to lead with the Inquisition of Kozilek here to know what I'm supposed to do next turn. And here I just take Reckless Impulse because I do have 2 removal spells in hand. I can deal with both Ral and Disquelcher. And I actually don't care about the Squelcher that much anymore because we don't have any counter spells. And from here, my hope of trying to get them off red source is a bit farther away. It's still possible with Brainstorm, I guess. But I have to hold up the Swords to Plowshares for the second Ral. So here I think I just Brainstorm. I go for Treasure Cruise instead, since I might be able to beat them by having a lot more cards than them. They're essentially just drawing 1 card per turn, but this Horn of Bounty changes things. That essentially draws them 2 cards per turn. So once again, I am in trouble here. Just gonna brainstorm first. Try to look for anything really. Hopefully this cruise finds something. And we are just going to play Tamio here.
I've read nearly the entire library.
The RM's chant in hand is problematic for us. And we just draw into a bunch of nothing here. I clear the 2 lands on top before I ponder here. And I don't think these cards are enough. Force of Negation is also not enough. So I'm just gonna have to remove the Squelcher right now and maybe Force of Negation something. Yeah, I need to remove the Squelcher first. Hopefully they don't have the mana or the red source to go off. But yeah, resolving Bergie here is really big for them. Yeah, I forgot that any spell gives them red mana, so they are just able to go off from here. And we just lose. I think was a pretty winnable match, but I just wasn't really experienced enough to figure out the lines to counter or stop. But it's really a cool deck. Anyway, that ends our run. GG's to everyone. Right, welcome back. So once again, thanks to Novos for hosting this tournament. And this event is free with pricing, so it's really just low commitment and medium reward to attend one of these you get to also compete and try to tap in your competitive side if you want. So feel free to join Novos Discord. I'll link that down below for future tournaments. So how did we do with this deck? We performed really just decently well. We went 3-2 in Swiss. I didn't really expect to get into top 8 with that record, but we managed to get in as top 6. So I guess for a smaller tournament that works in our favor, but I wasn't really that impressed with the run, and I feel like I could have gotten better results if I won the mono red matchup, and I think I did punt one game for that one. But essentially that matchup is a coin flip. It's either they have their answer for your psychic frog or not. It's really reliant on this card here. You can even just get them with Hydroponics Architect. Some games turn out to be grindy, but they are either going to have a prison piece against you, whether it's Chalice or Magus, and the best way to win is just land a Psychic Frog against them. And I think another loss that I had was against Mardu Energy. Yeah, against Ruben. I think that was inevitable. This deck has consistently had a bad matchup towards that deck, and I don't really think this can be structurally fixed. By playing creatures like Hydro, Tameo, Psychic Frog means that the energy player just has to draw their removal spells. So they're playing Galvanic Discharge, Swords of Plowshares, and Static Prison, while their deck plays something like Guide Pride, a Johnny, Raptor, which are all built 2-for-1s. So if you want to do well against energy, you're probably going to need to cut your threats for more interaction, and it just becomes an entirely different deck at that point. But if you really want to force it, you can play 4 Scoldings, maybe 3 Toxic Deluge, and try to fit them all in this deck. You will still have a difficult time against competent opponents. And for the semis, I think I threw that match real hard. I failed to identify what was important. I think for the Red Storm matchup, the removal was really important in that matchup. So I definitely should have brought 2 Dismembers, Prismatic Ending in, and I should just counter the Seething Song because they just get so much mana that it's not really worth trying to wait on what they're going to do next. You just counter the mana and go to your turn, draw with your Psychic Frog. So yeah, I think that was a favorable matchup for me in hindsight, but I really played that badly. And as for the state of top 8, 2 out of 3 Necro Reanimator decks made it to top 8, which means they probably are still the deck to beat. During Swiss, if they were just a little bit more represented, I think they would just fill up the 8 slots in top 8, to be honest. And maybe we get a different top 8 that way. I probably would have lost my slot if there were more Necro Reanimator decks. But if there were more Necro Reanimator decks, I think we would have done better because one, we are really tech hard for that matchup. And I think Miss Scholar, Commandeer, Thoughtseize, Inquisition, I think the setup is well equipped to beat that deck already. But you do have to still have to play it well. A good Necro player can play around counter magic. They have the tools. Sometimes they will juke into things like Bargoyf, maybe Voice of Victory, and you end up just losing. Against Mono Red Prison, I guess you can drop the white here, maybe go blue black, and just focus on what I said. Just focus on dropping Psychic Frog against them and you will win the matchup. But unfortunately, I can't really fit a basic swamp in here. And I thought I was doing well with my plan of just going all in on the frog each time. But yeah, I think this is still a decent deck to ladder with, but it is incredibly difficult to perform well with. I think it's due to the Flare of Denial. I was priced into playing Flare of Denial even though I knew it was a bit bad per se, because you did have to sacrifice board presence. This should be just Force of Will and Force of Negation. But if you don't run Flare of Denial, then tapping out against an opponent means they just get to play their creature spells freely. So there's really no threat of you having free spells other than Force of Negation. It's just the mere existence of Force of will make players play a lot differently. So yeah, I think that's about it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.